The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Alan Blumkin on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm here with two of my favorite people, Al Anderson, who I've known for since 1961. We met in the Ballfield bleachers when we were both attending Pitt. And my good friend David Nemec, who is the father of all trivia and the authority on the 19th century, who has been a guest with me quite a few times. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome to both of you.
Okay, today we're going to be discussing the 2008 Indians and why they came up short and what can be...
18 now.
I said 18. Okay, and why they came up short and what they have to do to improve themselves. Okay, gentlemen, let Al start because he actually went to games there.
Well, I went to a number of games, and of course I went to the playoff game with the Astros. Clevenger hits very, very well. If you actually, there was a moment in that game, Cleveland led 2-1, but very, very smart baseball by the Astros. In fact, Al had called me afterwards and said, why did they take Clevenger out? But in 5 innings, he was up to, I believe it was 96 or 98 pitches.
Yeah, they took a lot of pitches.
The Astros were very smart that way, and the Cleveland bullpen was just horrible. And the strange thing was the one guy who had actually been the best left-handed reliever that they had all year, Oliver Perez, who had a 142 earned run average, he never brought him in and insisted, continually hoping it was 2016 again. And Andrew Miller was not Andrew Miller of 2016. And I don't know. Do you think there's any chance Cleveland will re-sign Miller, David?
No, I would not. I wouldn't take a chance on him. The kind of money he can probably command. No. I don't. He's had so many injuries, and I wouldn't re-sign Cody Allen either.
No,
let them both go. At least let them test the market and see what they can get.
Cody gave up some more runs in that game, and the friend I went to the game with, he applauded and he was saying, "I still remember your good games, Cody. I remember your good games. Al forgot all your good games, but I remember." But so I gave him a very small applause. But it was near silence as Cody Allen left. And I think, David, you're right. Miller
I think that's probably the last time you'll see both of them in a Cleveland uniform. And I have some questions. I don't know if you both noticed this or not. If you watched the games, Al, I know you did, but I'm not sure, Al Blumkin, whether you did or not. But if you did, I thought the managing wasn't as crisp as it could have been. In both the first and second game, which were close going into the late innings, I don't know whether they were the leadoff hitter or the second hitter, but on successive days, Yan Gomez and Encarnacion reached first base. And I think it was the 8th inning in both cases with either none or one out. And in neither case did Francona run for them. I couldn't understand it. It just baffled me. I'm sitting there and watching. Why isn't he putting somebody in to run? He's got Davis. I think he had Davis on the bench. He's got Greg Allen on the bench. Get somebody in there who can run and stay out of a double play. The double play didn't materialize, but it looked like Francona just fell asleep. I don't know what happened.
Well, in 2015, the Yankees, every time they got into a late inning, they ran for A-Rod and they ran for a couple other the slow guys. And when the game went past the 9th inning, they had no hitters left.
Yeah, that's the problem. But you got to at least. There was never going to be a 9th inning unless Cleveland scored.
Yeah.
So they were behind. It's one thing if you do it when you're ahead. But another thing, you have to do it when you're behind.
Greg Allen and Rajay were not bad hitters. I don't think, we would have suffered a great deal, although, you'd have had to put Roberto Perez in. I mean, Greg Allen, neither of them can catch, so Yan Gomes, that wouldn't have been, you'd have to replace them. But I agree. In fact, in general, I did not think that Francona had done a very good job. I thought that Cleveland,
both of you are not great fans of Kipnis.
Well, Kipnis or Francona, but the Baseball Reference, they used the Pythagorean theorem for based on run differential, and Cleveland should have had about 8 more wins. And trust me, there was, seeing things like Cleveland having that 4-0 lead against Cincinnati, and he leaves Cody Allen in to give up 7 runs in the 9th inning. I mean, there was horrific managing by Francona this year, and plenty of. I mean, on one hand, most people give Francona terrific credit. He's popular; the players like him, and that's good. But his strategies and use of players,
How old is he now?
That's a good question.
He's in his 60s, isn't he?
He's got to be in his 50s at this point, I think.
Yeah. Teams are going to younger managers, and for good reason, because you have to be able to relate to your players. That was Girardi's, one problem, and he wasn't. Girardi's only in his 50s, but
he's 59.
Yep.
I just did up April 22nd, 1959 is his birth date.
So he's 59, yeah.
And why in the world was he born in Aberdeen, South Dakota? That is strange, it seems to me.
Maybe that's what Tito was.
Well, Maris was born in the Dakotas. I don't think that had anything to do with it.
Yeah,
but,
right.
I don't know why Tito was up there. In 59 especially.
Tito Francona seems to have a clone in Roberts, who in the first 2 games of the World Series has made some very, very strange decisions.
Yeah.
Roberts, and I think, Al, you've questioned the use of Madsen.
Oh, God, yeah. And the fact that he sat down his top 4 home run hitters because they're left-handed.
Yeah.
Against
he gets to use them,
but it's just the whole thing. I don't want to get into a screed again of all of this stuff, but they all overmanage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Al notices the length of these games, and they are too long, and some of it is because of the commercials.
That's why the ratings are in the toilet because of the World Series, because these games take forever.
I know. Yeah, kids can't stay up that late. And
I can't stay up. I'm on the East Coast, and I can't stay up for that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm on the West Coast, so they start at 5 o'clock.
David, you're the lucky one, David. You get to see the end of all these games.
Yeah, usually that's all I see. That's because I don't really. I'm not too interested in the series. I don't like either the Dodgers or the Red Sox. I would love to have seen the Astros in Milwaukee. And that didn't come to fruition on either side. But
right.
I
certainly would have watched that series.
And what do you think the Indians have to do to improve next year? I mean, do you think they basically played under their potential because they were in such a weak division?
They did. That's part of it. They have to do something with Ramirez, who just continues to be a pull hitter. And we talked about this a few weeks ago, and we predicted that they would have a lot of trouble with the Astros, and Ramirez would be a huge factor, and he was. I mean, he did absolutely nothing, and to improve, they're going to have to come up with corner outfielders and pretty good ones. And this guy, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe you know, Al, but Martin, who came over I can't remember if it was from the Cardinals or somebody in the National League.
What is it?
And he looked pretty good, but then something happened to him. I know he had some strange disease or something.
It was a strange disease, yes, some sort of infection disease came along, and he's out for the season. And he played well. But, I mean, they also had Chisenhall on the injury, Tyler Naquin on the injuries, and Bradley Zimmer. I mean, you had 4 outfielders who all had at different times played. Zimmer, they've talked about how fast he is. He's right after Buxton and Billy Hamilton. Apparently he's the 3rd fastest player. But the problem is every year, and he's got 3 years, every year his batting averages drop. So whether Zimmer's going to develop, I don't know. I like Naquin. And Chisenhall's another one, seems to be constantly injury prone.
Yeah,
and I know. I think Cleveland can. They may be. How many of these guys they may choose to just let them go and get the story I've heard, and I don't know if it's going to be true, that they really do want to try to re-sign Michael Brantley, which would be wonderful. But I just, with Bauer is going to be very expensive because he's eligible for arbitration, and this is the first year that Frankie Lindor will be eligible for arbitration.
He's eligible too? Oh boy.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know
So
that.
there's probably $25 million or more that will be added to the payroll just in those guys, and then some of these, and they have very favorable contracts with Kluber and Carrasco and all of them, but they all continue to increase. And Cleveland's attendance, they had 9 sellouts for the entire season. But the team...
Did the playoff game sell out?
Oh, yeah. They were selling.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they only had one. They only had one. They only had one playoff game. That's... Yeah, the third game with the Astros. That's the only playoff game they had.
Right.
But they had sold all the tickets for the World Series through the playoffs and everything. Just didn't go far enough.
You were there, Al, right?
I was at the playoff game, and
what was the crowd? What was the crowd like in the late innings? It must have been really demoralizing.
Oh, I stayed till the. I even left after the 8. I was 11-2.
I know. Yeah.
Innings. So I left at that point, but no, Cleveland had been very demoralized, and from a 2-1 lead to losing the game by 11-2 margin.
Yeah, they just didn't hit. They couldn't score, and it was pitiful. Yeah, the middle of their lineup was like 2 for 39 or something, some crazy figure like that.
And then the point you made, David, that and people were talking about it the last month of the year. Jose Ramirez was still trying, as you said, to pull the ball or kill the ball, and teams were throwing him off-speed pitches, slow curves, change-ups, and I think he hit 160 for August in the playoffs. I'm not sure.
Breakdown. I saw the breakdown after after the All-Star game. I know he was down. He's carrying a 300 and some batting average into the All-Star game, if I recall right. And then he ended up in somewhere in the low 270s.
Right around 270. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the two that they have longer contracts on, they are Yonder Alonso and Kipnis. Of all the people, it's not that they, it's not that they have Frankie Lindor, for the future, or Brantley. They have to even renegotiate with those people. And Michael was, 309 batting average. He was Mr. Consistency, his smooth swing.
And he didn't get hurt all year. That was amazing.
Played without injury, yes. So we will have to see. Now, do you
won't
remember
be the same situation next year because none of these the rest of the teams at division seem to be ready to improve very much.
Well, wait, no.
I think Minnesota is going to be a lot
the
better.
All-Star break, Al, the White Sox, supposedly, not the Red Sox, not the Astros, that the White Sox supposedly had the best winning percentage after the All-Star break in the American League. Now, was that?
Yeah, they wound up losing a bunch of games in a row at the end to wind up with 100 losses.
Did the White Sox still lose 100?
Yeah, they lost 100 on the nose. They lost the last day of the season.
Yeah, they did. They were
They were swept by the Twins in, I think, 4 games over the last weekend to reach 100 losses.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Cleveland does have to worry about winning that division. The trouble is, though, they have to be able to beat teams like the Yankees and the Astros and the Red Sox.
I think if they were in a closer division race, it would help them too.
Yes,
because
I agree.
They looked like they were in cruise control the last few weeks, and the hitting was poor, very spotty. They win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. They didn't, whereas 2017 they went on that winning streak right near the end of the season, and I thought that would carry over to the playoffs.
Now, David, do you think that Kluber has the David Price postseason jinx?
I don't know. He did look good in the postseason in 2016 for the first, first start, and second start wasn't bad, but they tried to bring him back a third time, and that was what killed him. Maybe I'm wrong. I know he was out of gas early in the last. I think he started the 7th game, he was running on fumes by the 2nd inning.
And Kluber, I still think he won 20 games, and what Snell did also in Snell's numbers, even though he pitches for Tampa, Blake Snell ought to win the Cy Young this year.
Oh, he should. Yeah. Yeah, he should win. And
that team won 90 games, which was like pulling blood out of a stone.
Yeah, if they'd been in another division.
They would have been in another division. It would have been competitive, yeah.
It
would have been in there with the Indians. We would have had some competition with all that.
Yeah.
The A's did pretty well, considering everything.
Yeah, they did. I was hoping it did.
David, the thing about batting averages with Chris Davis at the last 4 years, 247, 247, 247, 247. Do you know if any player ever before 4 consecutive years the same batting average?
Yeah, they're 0-0-0.
When somebody pointed that out, I went right to baseballreference.com to look it up, and it was right.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's. I would think it was right too. And, and speaking when we spoke about Perez was the first pitcher in history to come into a game and not even take the mound. There have been pitchers who haven't pitched to a batter when they've come in. They've gotten hurt, they've gotten thrown out of the game, they picked somebody off. But Perez came in and never even took the rubber, never had, I don't even think he didn't throw one pitch. Well, he walked in, against Oakland, Melvin immediately pinch hit, put up a left-handed hitter, and, and Perez, they said, I think it was, whatever it was, Perez, they put up a right-handed hitter against Perez, and they purposely passed him. Yeah, and Perez never, and that's to me that this kind of stuff is it's not baseball. Baseball to me, part of the fun was watching an intentional walk. There were occasional pass balls, wild pitches. Occasionally a hitter would reach out and slap one into right field or left field. It was part of the fun. They
save exactly 10 seconds. They save exactly 10 seconds by waving them to first base.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. And if they go to this putting a runner on second at and
they did that in the minor leagues, even up,
inning.
all the way from the short season A to the Triple A. They did that in the minor leagues this past season.
They did it in Triple A, all the way up to Triple A.
All the way
How
up.
did it work out?
I have no idea how it worked out, but it's.
I can't imagine.
I don't think the major leagues will adopt that. The games are long. I don't think the major leagues are going to adopt that very soon.
I don't know. There are a lot of things they're doing that I never thought.
Yeah, maybe they'll go to 3 balls and 2 strikes, like Finley suggested 50 years ago.
Yeah, I know. They could. They're crazy. They're crazy enough to do anything.
Using the videos and the umpire is told whether the pitch was a ball or a strike, because the umpires still continue, the home plate umpire, to miss, some, and makes, and there are certain umpires.
Well, the camera angles aren't really flush with the plate. They make pitches appear to be strikes or appear to be balls that really aren't. If they say when the announcers say it's on the black, usually, if you're really an umpire, it's not really that close.
Well, I don't like to sound anti-union, but the umpires union has made them have a rotation, so that's why you get the Buckners and the Hernandezes umpiring in these games.
Yeah, and I didn't see the game, but the Yankees' first game at home.
Yeah, well, Angel Hernandez, God, man.
There were 3 blown calls at first base.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Angel Hernandez is awful, yeah.
He is awful. And Joe West, I don't know, I didn't see.
He's retired. He's retired now. This is his last
Joe
year.
West, did he break the Bill Clem record for the most games?
No, I don't think so. I hope not.
No, Bill Clem did every year. Oh, overall? He umpired 40 years, West. I don't know.
Clem, I think Clem's record is pretty unapproachable.
Well, Clem used to be appointed to the World Series every year, and he was always umpiring behind home plate.
Right.
Yeah.
The later years, they never had him do the bases.
Yeah, later in his career, they did make him do the bases, but you're right. For the first 10, 15 seasons, he only did the plate. He was that good. But I don't know what's going to happen to umpiring, but they really could almost do away with umpires. It looks to me like the technology is reaching a point where it's a dying profession.
You remember, David? It's 70 years ago, but it was the World Series where
the pickoff play at second base.
Pickoff play, and Bill Stewart was the umpire, and Bill Stewart always would get booed in Cleveland when he was the umpire. Years later.
Yeah, that cost Feller. That was a 1-0 game.
Right.
And I don't know whether Feller would have won the game. It would still have been 0-0 after 9 innings.
Exactly. Yeah.
It would have left Feller in. And
there was a call in Game 5 of the 1952 World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees, in the 10th inning, when Johnny Sain's foot, he was batting, was on first base, and the ball was a couple of feet away from Hodges. And they called Sain out. Art Passarella was the umpire. He didn't last very long after that.
Yeah. I think I do vaguely remember that.
Yes.
And there was an incident in the late 50s between the Cubs and the Cardinals where there were actually 2 baseballs in play.
Right.
And the umpire, I think his name was Vic Delmore.
Vic Delmore, yeah.
Yeah, didn't last very long after that one.
Yeah, he was arguing with Sammy Taylor, the Cubs catcher, and he, absentmindedly gave Taylor a new ball, handed him a new ball, and the other ball was still in play. Yeah, that was a crazy situation. Musial ended up getting thrown out at second base, stunned, because he thought, the other ball was in play, and it was crazy. Yeah, the umpiring is, I think overall it's probably pretty good. And
it's just a couple of bad apples.
Yeah, but
that they won't get rid of.
Yeah, they can't get rid of them. But they did get rid of. I can't remember. Was it Eric Gregg who had that horrible strike zone?
Yeah.
And when the umpires went on strike, that he and a couple other guys weren't rehired. They just lost their jobs and they went on strike.
Exactly.
But that's the only way they really can get rid of these guys, it seems.
Well, they got rid of I forget the names. I think Bill Valentine, and there's another one that when they start to form the umpires union, they got rid of two of them.
Yeah.
The owners got rid of two of them. Or the league they told the league presidents to get rid of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I'm doing a revision of my book on the rules.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that the whole rule book had changed in the past few years. And it's they still include, and you're reading a rule, and they talk about the league presidents. There are no more league presidents.
I know that. Yeah.
So this is referred to the league president. This is referred to the league president. There aren't any more league presidents. And the rule book is much denser and harder to understand than it used to be. And I don't know why they did it, because I thought the rule book they were using until the mid part of the last decade was clean and easy to understand, and no problems. But I guess now with all the slide, like the Utley slide and the collision with Posey at the plate, both of those created a lot of rule revisions. But I don't understand why they did away with the pitcher faking a throw to third base and then whipping around and throwing to first base instead. That's now a ball.
That was
I don't know why. That was always a great play to see.
It didn't work very often, but when it did, I mean,
it stunned people. And why is it a balk now?
Yeah.
They did away with it. They did it, and it's crazy. And I think they're making a lot of changes that take away some of the more colorful moments in the game.
Maybe they think it cuts down on the time. Is the intentional walk rule codified now?
Yeah, it's in the rule.
When you want to walk a batter intentionally, just wave. Right.
Just wave. That's at every level now, from high school. I think.
Wow.
I don't know about Little League, but it's certainly true in high school, college.
Wouldn't surprise me if Little Leaguers on pitch counts.
Yeah. Well, they are. Yeah.
Pitch count. They do have pitch counts on some Little League levels and things because of tournament games and things like that. And I think that, hey, in a sense, it's appropriate, Al, that young kids don't need to.
I know that. Yeah.
Tommy John surgery at the age of 12.
No, go for Didi Gregorius is a shortstop, and he had Tommy John. That's why the Yankees are, a lot of Yankee fans say that they should sign Machado because Gregorius may be out the whole season next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you heard, and either of you, have you heard that, is there any team that is likely to sign Machado?
I think a lot of teams want him. Whether it's
the Yankee fans are screaming for him now. That the Gregorius is going to be out most of the season.
Yeah, and I think the Dodgers want to keep him. I don't know what.
They have Seager coming back next year.
Yeah, Seager coming back. They might trade him and keep Machado. They could get. I don't know what they could get for Seager, and I don't know what is.
Well, we know for one thing, he's not going back to the Orioles.
No, he's not. That team is in, total disarray. I don't know.
Nobody wants the managerial job there. It's still open.
Yeah, what happened to Showalter? Did Showalter resign or what?
I think there was a mutual that it was at the end of his contract and he wasn't going to come back. Who would?
He resigned at the end of this. You lasted out the season, though, didn't you?
Yeah, and from what I understand, the Angelo's sons are dumber than the father.
Oh boy!
So this might be an Earl and Roy Mack situation.
Oh boy!
Yeah. Eventually, they'll probably decide to sell out.
Yeah,
but until then, I mean, Adam Jones, who was the face of the franchise, is leaving.
Yeah, and he didn't have a year.
They're stuck with Chris Davis for another 4 or 5 years.
That was absolutely the worst contract I think that ever was signed. Even
this past season he had 168, 243 OBP, and a 296 slugging percentage.
It's unbelievable.
Yet,
yeah.
Well, did he break the 200 strikeouts?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't break the strikeout record because they
that was a 220. They sat him down a few times near the end. That's still the 223 by Mark Reynolds, who's gotten to be a fairly decent hitter his last couple of years.
Yeah, that's surprising.
And Reynolds played for Cleveland. You remember a few years back.
He learned a little bit, but some of these guys forget. I think the leader in the American League was the second baseman on the White Sox, Moncada, I think his name is, and he was in the 210s.
210. How many guys?
Did you realize that Jesus Aguilar, David, was with Cleveland for a few years?
Yeah, I did. He never got much of a chance, from what I understand.
They just gave up on him. They didn't believe he was ever going to make. Waived him, as they did Brandon Phillips.
Yeah, they gave him away pretty much. I think this trade they made with San Diego is going to really blow up in their face too, because I don't think either Hand or Simber are going to be that that much help in the bullpen.
And Simber was another one that Francona insisted on using in key situations and never showed anything. I think he had a 146 earned run average with San Diego. His earned run average with Cleveland's in the 8 or 9. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Well, it's tougher to make the adjustment from the National League to the American League than it is the other way.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because every hitter can hit.
Yeah.
You don't get a break.
And San Diego is a ballpark that favors pitchers.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never have made that trade. I'm sorry. I was sorry the minute I saw it that Cleveland made it. But
then Cleveland, if Hand is not, and I'm not sure how reliable he is, I'm certainly not convinced that he's the answer to our bullpen. If Miller and Cody Allen are gone, Cleveland is going to be searching, and I wonder, frankly, Oliver Perez perhaps had, one marvelous year, and they may give him another contract or something. But
they may.
But the bullpen thing, and hopefully Josh Tomlin is done. Josh Tomlin can hopefully walk and go somewhere else. Although his contract, I think I looked up $2.5 or $3 million is all they were paying. But and he was good in 2016 in the playoffs and World Series.
Yeah, he was. He was a big surprise.
Yeah, Bill Veeck said when the whole free agency thing started 40 years ago that wasn't going to be a high price of stars. It's going to be a high price of mediocrity. And he was right on.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, the ultimate for me, Baltimore did the ultimate with that for me. I mean, they gave Andrew Cashner, who never had a winning season anywhere. They gave him 16 for 2 years, and he was terrible with the Orioles. He was terrible everywhere else. Now, I just some of these signings I just don't understand.
The pitching in particular.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and the relief pitchers that anything I really I really like Andrew Miller. But I think that Cleveland would do well not to even try to re-sign him and let him go. And
Not what they're going to ask for him.
35.
No. And there's going to be a lot of other relief pitchers floating around this winter. Guys who haven't looked that good for a couple of years, and relief pitchers are usually up and down. I mean, a guy like Rivera is, once in a lifetime, or every year is a good year. I mean,
and what drives me crazy,
good, bad.
Yeah, what drives me crazy when I mentioned this to Alan, I think you and other friends of mine, that when they pull a starter so early, they think these relievers are going to have it every day. They don't. They can't.
No, they don't. No.
That, to me, it's just really, really. I follow it because I've been following it since I was 8 years old, which was 67 years ago. But it's just the way things are now. The way the game is played now, to me, is just bad. I put up somebody on one of the sites I'm on put up the last 5 World Series complete games. So I put in 1956, the Yankees, the last 5 games of that series, the Yankees threw 5 straight complete games. Ford, Sturdivant, Lawson, Hurley, who lost his game 1-0 in 10 innings, and Cooks. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Come close to that again.
Who was the last World Series pitcher to pitch a complete game?
Who knows? It may have been Jack Morris in 1991, for all I know.
He's certainly the last one to pitch an extra inning complete game.
Yeah, it may have been Pettit in 1996, but I'm not sure of that.
Yeah, against the Braves. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
beat Smokes 1-0 in the 5th game.
Yeah, I can't think of any more recent than that. You don't see any anymore now. Now, if a guy goes 6 innings, he's had a great
quality start.
Yeah, real. David Price now is the new the top left-hander in the playoffs. I think, because he won game 2, Kershaw got tagged in game 1. So,
and Price pitched 6 scoreless innings in the last game against the Astros.
Yeah.
And that was a very surprising. The Astros couldn't do anything with them. That was very surprising to me.
They didn't do anything, but they won. Didn't they win the first game and lose the next 4?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, because Correa wasn't hitting at all. He was hurt a lot of the year, and he wasn't hitting at all.
Yeah.
And they just didn't have it.
Well, they don't talk much about, but when I checked, Price is a $32 million a year pitcher.
Yeah, and we know that from when they signed him. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, he's up. Scherzer's a $30 million pitcher, but Max Scherzer's quite a pitcher.
Yeah.
And Kershaw may opt out.
I cannot believe that. I will be.
I don't think he's going to find anybody that's going to be willing to pay him more than he's making with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
An opt-out last year was Tanaka on the Yankees. Had an opt-out last year, and he declined it because he knew nobody's going to give him any more.
Yeah.
Well, it was until this year's playoffs, Al. I had not heard, and whoever was the announcer pointed out, they said Tanaka had the greatest year any professional pitcher has ever had, and it was those last year in Japan where he was 24-0.
Yeah.
Is that true? Wow.
You hadn't heard it either, right, David?
No, not like that. No.
That's pretty. No. I think that, as they say, that's as good as it can get.
Yeah, I don't know. There's never been a pitcher who. I don't even think the record is more than Johnny Allen was 15-0 going into his last start, and he lost it. I think 2-1.
We know. Al and I know the Elroy face, 18-1 is the best.
18-1, yeah. Oh. And that's in.
To me, a couple of the best were, considering the era, were Grove and 30-31.
Yeah, but he's on a really great team.
Yeah, but those years were hitting. He had ERAs that were basically 2 under the league average. That's when Pedro Martinez had a couple of years like that.
Right.
Yeah, but if you notice in both the 30 and 31 series,
yeah, he wasn't all that great.
The pitcher Mac went to was Earnshaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grove only started,
and the 7 years that Grover Cleveland Alexander had in Baker Bowl before he went to the war.
Yeah, they were.
It's unbelievable in a place like that.
Right. The lack of support that he had, comparing Christy Mathewson, and they end up saying they both have the same number of wins and so forth. Madison had much better teams on him than.
I always put Alexander ahead of. There's a friend of mine that comes over periodically with his 100 top of all time, and I always tell him Alexander was better than Mathewson because he played on the teams that were inferior to the Giants.
He did. But he played in different eras. Pitched well in different eras too. He was still tough in the 20s.
Yeah.
And I think he had at least one 21 season, and then he came in the 26 series.
Yeah, well, he was never really the same after he was, he had the experience in World War I, which left him partially deaf and brought out his epilepsy.
Yeah. No, he was still a fine pitcher.
Yeah.
If I had one game to play, and historically, I would choose him for my starting pitcher.
Over Walter Johnson?
No, I would take Alexander in 2000.
Over Walter Johnson?
Over Walter Johnson, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would. Because Alexander in the Baker Bowl that year had 16 shutouts.
Yeah.
He took him to the pennant, and he had an unbelievable year. Because the Phillies were the rest of the team was they were a decent team, but they didn't have anybody. They had Kravitz and a couple other decent pitchers, but Bancroft was still young. I think he was a rookie that year.
They had McGee for a few years.
And I think they had either
Cherry McGee after 1914.
Yeah. McGee wasn't on the team anymore. They were not a strong team, and they were a surprise winner. But
and their pitchers will have one spectacular year, like Guidry. The Preacher Rowe in 1951 was 22-3. Cliff Lee had a 22-3 year.
Yeah.
Alexander had 3 consecutive 30-win years. Did anyone else in modern ball after 1900?
No, I don't think so. That's good.
30,
that's an interesting.
They made a deal, of course, when Danny McClain did it, and he was, of course, the first since Dizzy Dean. But
and Grove did it in 31. But Grove, it was not 3 in a row.
Right, 3 straight years of 30 wins is. I was going to wonder
So Jack Coombs had a 30-win season. I think it was 1911 and 1910 to the A's.
Johnson, I'm doing Casey Stengel. You could look it up.
Yeah.
John 1912 won 32, and in 1913 he won 36. But
36 and 7 that year.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 in a row.
And those teams are not exactly world beaters either.
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
They were poor. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think Johnson was a fine pitcher. I think if you see Johnson and Alexander, but it's hard. There's no way to compare, pitching from
not pitching that against pitching now. I mean,
no. There are guys now who would have been lights out in 1909.
There are people out there who think that Sabathia and Bartolo Colon are Hall of Famers. Because the criteria has changed, and that's one thing I'm pretty sure of. You're never going to see another 300-game winner. I said that when Randy Johnson was the last one. I said after that, I put it out there that he was the last.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Yeah, it could be right because I can't see anybody now.
They don't pitch enough.
No, they don't.
You got 5-man rotations, which means which translates to 33 starts a year. And if they go 7 innings on every start, 231 innings.
Yeah.
So now I think the major league leader this past season had 219.
Yeah. Well,
is it possible, though, either David or Al, that a Wilbur Wood type, a knuckleball pitcher, because remember how many innings Wilbur could throw, and
whatever happened to knuckleball pitchers? I mean, are there any now?
No, I think the last one was Wakefield. Tim Wakefield, who gave up the home run to Aaron Boone 13 years ago. He was 14 years ago. He was 15 years ago, 2003. He was the last one that did it on a regular basis.
What happened to them?
I guess they don't want these types. They want these guys that could throw 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I know they do. But that's...
You think a Bobby Shantz type or a Harvey Haddix type? They even look at them today?
That's a good.
Well, I would hope so.
No, they don't scout them. That's for sure.
No, they want all these big, strong guys that can throw 95, 100 miles an hour. That's what they want.
Yeah, yeah.
But how few pitchers there are that are under 6 feet tall? There's plenty of teams that every pitcher on their staff.
Yeah, I don't think there's very many of them left. I don't even think you maybe have 10 left like that.
No. Yeah. Have either of you ever seen what's his name? Vendetti pitch?
Oh, the two-arm pitch?
Ambidextrous guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen him pitch?
No.
I've not, but I think it's great. I think it'd be wonderful if, and they had to, now they have to come up with the rules because initially,
they did. They had to create a special rule for him.
No, because one of the Greg Olson pitchers was ambidextrous. I think they had to determine before a particular batter came up which hand they were going to throw with.
But he only did it a couple times.
Yeah.
But Vendetti seems to do it the entire game. It'd be interesting to see if they could pitch a complete game right-handed and a complete game left-handed the same day. That would be, but I don't think.
And what happens when a switch hitter gets up? What happens when a switch hitter gets up against him?
Well, the pitcher has to take his.
Pitcher has to make the decision first, right?
Left-handed pitcher makes the decision first. The batter steps in the box. I think I don't know whether the pitcher can change during the batter. I have to look that rule up. If he does try to change the batter, then it's free to take the other box. But it used to be like there was a game in 1928 when Paul Richards, who was ambidextrous, pitched against a guy named Charlie Swamp Baby Wilson, and Wilson was a marginal major leaguer later on, and he was a switch hitter, and Richards was ambidextrous. So the umpires finally had to have a meeting, the two umpires, and decide what they were going to do because Wilson kept jumping from box to box, and Richards kept switching arms, and they weren't getting anything done. So finally, they just made them stay firm, and Wilson bat right-handed or whatever. But before the Vendetti, there wasn't really a firm rule.
When did 4 umpires become mandatory in Major League Ball? Was it after World War II?
1952. Now here's an interesting thing. I'm pretty sure it was 1952. There were 4 umpires in a lot of games in the early 50s and late 40s, but in the last weekend of the 49 season, there were the Yankees and Red Sox were playing at, 2 games at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
They had 6 umpires at that game. And they took 2 umpires away from the doubleheader at Washington, between Washington and Philadelphia. They umpired their last 2 umpire games took place in Washington that same day. So that's how much clout the Yankees had in those days.
Wow, I never knew that.
At the same time this was going on, in the National League, both Brooklyn and St. Louis were vying for the pennant on the final day of the season. And they only had 4 umpires at both of their games. And the year before, Cleveland and Boston had a playoff game. Only 4 umpires. It was the first 6-umpire game in a regular season. They had 6 umpires in World Series games, but not in regular season games. And it's crazy. I looked that up, and there's nothing written about it. Nothing in the New York Times. Nothing. No mention of it. How the Yankees managed to swing that, I don't know, but they did.
Okay, gentlemen, on that note, I want to thank both of you. I think this has been a very fascinating and interesting discussion. And hopefully we'll do another one very shortly. Thank you both.
Thanks to both of you, too. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, take care. Al Blumkin signing off. See you next same bat time, same bat channel in a couple of weeks.
The proceeding was a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production. Thank you for listening.